All right, welcome back. Continuing from where we left off. Last time we had some dependency warnings there at the end, and we still have this one. It says non-test scoped, test only dependencies found. This is a little bit confusing, but it's basically saying that we defined a dependency that we're using in compile scope, but it's only used in test scope. And it's talking about Jakarta RS API, which we are using in compile scope. So I did do some Googling around. I ran across this issue. It is an unresolved open issue. It was just reopened, I guess, back in October, or just a couple weeks ago. So this is a known issue, and I was scrolling kind of down through here, and there is some workaround information if I scroll down far enough. Yeah, so this section here describes a workaround. Basically, we need to drop our version back a little bit here and then specify these dependencies to make sure that it can handle the version of Java that we're using, which is the latest 17. It is rare that you run across bugs like this that impact Maven and your build process. We are using the latest and greatest plugins. We were using the latest Maven dependency plugin 3.2.0, but when you're using the latest stuff, sometimes you run into bugs. And this bug was actually a bug back. I don't know what version it was. May have been 3.0.9 or something like that they fixed, and then they reintroduced the bug in 3.2.0 in this latest release. So I'm gonna slide this over to here and come over here. So basically we need 3.1.2. So we're downgrading our dependency, Maven dependency plugin. Then I'll copy paste these dependencies here. Oops. And we'll paste those in. And I think if we come back over here and rerun our build, hopefully this warning goes away. All right, everything's looking good now. So this workaround did work, which is good. Okay, so we're back to a working project. Let's get status. Let's add everything. Let's check and make sure what we're adding. Okay, so we updated our logback logging information when we're doing our testing. And okay, so everything looks good. All right, so now we're pushed up. Now, so for next, let's close out some of these things. The next thing I'd like to do is a little bit more work on our REST API stuff. So something that we're going to want to do is add security and a couple other features like logging access to our API so that we can see how many people are hitting which API REST endpoints. And so we're going to implement those functionalities as filters. So let's create a new package. They're security related, so I'm going to put them in a security package here. So let's do a new Java class. We'll do that access log filter first. So this access log filter is going to implements container, container request listen or filter. Yeah, container request filter. Implement methods. There's just one method called filter. We're not going to throw an exception here. We need a logger. So usually inside these parentheses, I put a class, right? Access log filter.class. And then when we get our logging, it'll show that fully qualified package plus class name in the logging output. However, I'm not going to do that with this class. So basically, I want everything from this class in production should go into a separate access.log file, kind of like how Nginx or HTTPD, Apache HTTPD does, where basically you get multiple log files, like an error log, an access log, things like that. So I'm going to do something similar. I'm just going to put the string access log in here, so that way when we get our logging, everything will have the same access log pattern in our log file, and then we can configure our logging to split those out into a separate file. So now, what do we want to log? So since we're going to log access to our REST API, we should log the request method and the request path and the user who made the request if we know it. So we don't have any security yet where we know our user. So I'm just going to do this for now, and once we have a little bit more security infrastructure, we'll stick our user information in here. We also need the request method, so we can pull out from the container request context. I saw the get method there. There's additional information in like get request also, right? So okay, so there's a method in here as well. We'll just use this top level one, and we also want the path of the endpoint that was responsible for handling this request. So we can say get, actually I think it's under URI info. Yeah, URI info.get path. Okay, so now we can do logger.info, and then we will put our user first, and then the method, and then the path. So all right, and obviously our user is just Toto for now, so we'll get a Toto here in the output. Now, in order for this class to be used as an actual filter, right now we're configuring JAX-RS in our resources, or in our resource config, to load everything in this package, in this particular package, which is com.tutorial.rest, and sub-packages, or child packages. So basically what that means is JAX-RS is going to scan classes for annotations to find anything that has an annotation. So what we need to do here is mark this as a provider, so that way it makes it, this annotation is recognized, and it will apply this class into our REST, all the calls to our REST API, and we should see this logging information. And we can test that, since we have a test here already for our test endpoint. Let's go ahead and run it. Okay, perfect. So we get this configuring binder log from our API application class, right? That's this one here. We are going to eventually do dependency injection using this binder, but we're not doing that yet. And then after that, we get access log, which is our access log filter, and we get our fake username, and then we get test, which is exactly the endpoint that we hit up here in our test resource. We hit the test endpoint. Now, if I change this and make this a little bit deeper, test, whatever, hello, and then update our test to hit hello, and then run this again, we should get test/hello. Okay, there we go. So we don't get an initial slash, which is a little bit annoying maybe, but I guess it doesn't matter that much, because technically there's going to be a slash API on front. And in fact, when we run this through our server, we may get the whole thing. In fact, let's try that. Let me switch to tutorial API server and hit run. Okay, so now our server started. I'll rerun this curl, and I'll put hello on the end, since that's what I updated the REST endpoint to do. Okay, so we still just get test hello. So we're missing the the slash API slash at the beginning of that. We could probably update this, and instead of doing URI-info.getPath, we might be able to do, okay, yeah, get absolute path, .getPath. I suspect that does it. Absolute path should be a little bit more comprehensive. So we'll go ahead and restart the server. All right, server started. We'll curl it again. There we go. Now we get our /API/test/hello. Okay, so that's longer. What happens if we run our test? Okay, so in our test case, we don't actually get /API because that's provided by the server at the server level, not at the JAX-RS level. So that makes sense. And yeah, so we can go ahead and kill our server again. We can kill this test too. Okay, so everything's looking good. Now really in our testing, we don't really want log output. So we could update our, our logback XML, not that one actually, our test logback XML, and change so if we set the level for access log to warm, then we're not going to see that log when we run our tests, right? Because this is set to filter, this is set to info, and so by setting this level to only print things that are warm or higher, right, warrant or error, then we're not going to see those info messages. So that'll prevent, right, when we run Maven, and once we have a bunch of tests for our REST endpoints, then we're not going to see a bunch of logging output when we run Maven. So that'll clean that up a little bit. All right, so we've got a simple access log filter. Another filter that we're going to want is a CORS filter. So if I come over here, we can search for CORS. CORS. So CORS is cross-origin resource sharing. So basically, if I have a website hosting these REST endpoints, right, tutorialapi.com or something like that, and then somebody in a browser from a different website uses Ajax or something to hit our REST endpoints, then if we don't provide the correct headers in our response, then the browser will reject the requests. So if I click on this link, it probably has examples of the common headers that are sent back. I was hoping for something a little bit maybe more in depth than that. Let's maybe click on a different one. Yeah, so we can use this one. Yeah, we can specify the methods that we're allowing. We could specify some of these. So really, we could specify any of these. So let's go ahead and let's create our new Java class CORS filter. So for our access log, we implemented container request filter, and this handles requests as they come into the server. It's part of the chain of classes or filters that process the request before our REST endpoint gets to it. And then we can also implement container response filters. So these filters, they actually get two parameters. We get a request context and a response context. So this allows us to modify some of the response information before we send that response back to the caller who hit our REST API. It's kind of long here. Let me go ahead and break this line in half. We're not going to throw an exception. So what we want to do is send back some of these in our response. So container response context dot. So somewhere in here, there's probably get headers, which I can then add. so let's just test this out. Say my custom header value. We also need to mark this as a provider. And let's go ahead and we'll start our server. Actually, we'll do this through the tests. So let me go ahead and run this test while I'm looking for it. So there's our resource. Here's our test class. Okay, so we ran the test. Everything worked out just fine. So let's do response dot. All right, so currently we're checking the status. Let's look down through here. Let's get the headers. Let's just print these headers out for now. We need a logger. Okay, so now we're not actually asserting anything. We're just going to print out what headers we get back in our response. Okay, so we got a transfer encoding header, we got a server header, and we got our my custom header back. So our CORS filter was run. It didn't actually add CORS headers. It just added a my custom header for now. So let's go ahead, now that we see that it's working, we can go ahead and actually put in some of these real headers. So let me copy these. Now, which ones of these do we actually want? So we're not going to do anything credential related. We don't really care about the max age. And we don't really care about what headers come in. So let's get rid of those. And we'll just do these. All right, and we need a value in here, so we'll do star for origin. We'll accept requests from any origin. For headers, we want all of them. I'm sorry. Actually, expose. Actually, I guess we don't care about headers. We don't care about exposing headers. For methods, we want all of them, which is like get, I forget the syntax here. I think it's just comma delimited. I don't know if it's all capital or not. I think it's all capital. Get, put, post, delete, head, options, patch. Is that all of them? I think that's all of them. We did extend a little bit too far, so let me go ahead and break this line. I guess I'll break it like this. We don't need our own custom value there. Okay, so now we've got these two CORS headers. Seems to look good. We could put these in static strings. I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll just leave it as is. So now let's go ahead and update our test here. And I think we can do get header string. Yeah, let's use this one. I've already forgotten what these are. So I'll copy both of those. All right, so let's do we basically want to duplicate the whole thing. All right, so we want this to be star, we want our origin to be star, and we want that list of methods. Potentially these should be alphabetical. Head, ABCDFGH. Let's put options first. Let's move patch and put. Okay, doesn't really matter. Whatever. detail oriented, I guess, pros and cons of that. Okay, so now let's run this test and verify that we're getting our headers back like we expect. And we are. All these passed. We should probably also check the response body. We know our test resource is just returning the word hello. So let's go back in here and verify what our response body looks like. Okay, I think I did get entity last time. Yeah, I see get entity in here. But what I really want is read entity, and then I can pass in the class of the object to read. So we just have a string in our response. So I think this should work just fine. Let's go ahead and run it. All right, so everything's still passing. If I change this to something that's wrong and run it, we should get a failure. Let me just verify. We haven't actually seen a test failure yet, I don't think. There we go. So we got an assertion failure. I am kind of surprised about this open test for J. But yeah, it's saying what we want. The actual value was hello. We were expecting HEL according to what we typed in here. So yeah, that's what a test failure looks like. But we'll fix it. Everything's looking good, and we'll go ahead and stop here. We've added a couple filters, and next time we will start adding a little bit more security. So I see this line is gray. Let me go ahead and build, and we'll push if our build works out successfully. All right, I see our REST endpoint being tested here. I do see this log message, but we're going to get rid of this once we actually add dependency injection. So we'll worry about that later. So everything's looking good. All right, we've got our new filters. We've updated our resource, and we updated our test, logback configuration. All right, we're pushed. So that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.